Between 1975 and 1979, Cambodia was plunged into darkness under the Khmer Rouge regime. The country, once vibrant and full of life, was suddenly silenced by fear and brutality. Overnight, cities emptied and the rhythms of daily life were replaced by the chilling quiet of oppression. Nearly 2 million people, 1 in 4 Cambodians, were murdered, not in war, but through systematic extermination. The land itself became a graveyard, scarred by countless mass graves, each one a silent witness to unimaginable suffering. The victims were doctors, teachers, artists, monks, children, our families, and neighbors. The regime targeted anyone who represented knowledge, tradition, or hope for the future, tearing apart the very fabric of Cambodian society. The regime tried to erase our culture and identity, turning Cambodia into the killing fields. Temples were destroyed, books were burned, and the spoken word was stifled by terror. The world watched in silence, unable or unwilling to grasp the scale of the horror. International headlines flickered and faded, while the cries of a nation went unheard by most. Wearing glasses, speaking a foreign language, or simply being educated could mean death. The regime saw intellect as a threat, and even the smallest sign of learning was a potential death sentence. Families were destroyed, children became soldiers, and starvation was weaponized. Hunger and fear became daily companions as the regime sought to break the spirit of an entire people. When the regime fell, the suffering didn't end. Survivors faced the daunting task of rebuilding from ashes. Villages lay in ruins, and the wounds, both physical and emotional, ran deep. Cambodia was left with mass graves and a nation haunted by unspoken grief. The land itself seemed to mourn, holding the memories of those lost beneath its surface. For decades, the trauma was too raw to confront, and the story of the genocide was whispered, not taught. Generations grew up in silence, unsure how to speak of the pain that shaped their lives. This silence allowed denial to fester and history to fade. Behind closed doors, memories lingered, but the world moved on, leaving the truth in the shadows. Without truth, healing was impossible, and the ghosts of the killing fields demanded to be heard. The wind that swept through the field seemed to carry the voices of the lost, urging remembrance. Justice and remembrance became urgent, but it would take a new generation to finally break the silence. Young Cambodians began to ask questions, to seek answers, and to honor the memories of those who came before. Only then could Cambodia begin the difficult work of confronting its past. Through unity, remembrance, and the courage to speak, the nation slowly found its voice again, determined to ensure that the silence of the killing fields would never return. In the aftermath of unimaginable tragedy, a new generation grew up in Cambodia's shadow, inheriting a world forever marked by loss and silence. Peng Rasi was born after the Khmer Rouge regime had fallen, but the genocide's legacy shaped every aspect of his world, from the stories left untold to the wounds that never fully healed. He saw the pain in his elders' eyes and felt the gaps in his family's story, questions that lingered in the air, memories that were too painful to share. The past was a living presence woven into daily life, not just a chapter in history books. As Peng Rasi pursued his education, he was struck by how little was taught about the genocide, and how the silence in classrooms mirrored the silence at home. Classrooms avoided the topic, leaving youth disconnected from their own history and vulnerable to denial, confusion, and misinformation. Peng Rasi saw this as a profound injustice, not only to the victims, but also to the young people who deserved to know the truth about their country's past. He felt a duty to the silenced millions and to the survivors who carried their burdens alone, determined to bridge the gap between generations. For Peng Rasi, understanding the genocide was not just an academic pursuit, it was a moral imperative, a way to honor those lost and empower the living. He joined the Documentation Center of Cambodia, DC-CAM, surrounded by archives and survivor testimonies, determined to uncover the truth and share it with others. There, his purpose solidified, to transform static records into dynamic education, ensuring that every Cambodian, young and old, could learn from the past and build a better future. He dedicated himself to ensuring the lessons of the genocide would never be forgotten, so that remembrance could become a source of healing and hope for generations to come. Pong Rassi's mission was clear: integrate the Khmer Rouge era into Cambodia's national education. He built coalitions with officials, educators, and community leaders to champion genocide education. As director of DCCAM's Genocide Education Program, he developed sensitive, thoughtful curricula. Lesson plans and teacher training encouraged dialogue and empathy, not just rote learning. Pong Rassi brought history to the people through mobile exhibitions, film screenings, and survivor forums. His efforts broke the silence, fostering national healing and understanding. The creation of a national textbook, A History of Democratic Kampuchea, was a landmark victory. For the first time, Cambodian students had a formal resource to learn about this dark chapter. Educating a nation required empowering its teachers. Pong Rassi launched workshops across Cambodia, equipping teachers with knowledge and support. He extended education to military, police, and officials, promoting human rights and the rule of law. Embracing technology, his team created digital archives and online modules to engage youth. Interactive websites and films made history relevant for a new generation. International conferences connected Cambodia's experience to global lessons on reconciliation. Pong Rassi's work transformed Cambodia's tragedy into a universal call for human rights. At the heart of Pong Rassi's work was honoring survivors, ensuring their voices were heard and their experiences acknowledged. He created safe spaces for survivors to share their stories, many for the first time, allowing them to break the silence that had surrounded their suffering for decades. These testimonies became the lifeblood of the curriculum, turning history into lived experience. They were not just words on a page, but powerful narratives that brought the past to life. Students heard directly from those who suffered, building empathy across generations. This direct connection fostered a deeper understanding and a personal connection to history. Survivor stories were woven into textbooks and films, ensuring individual lives were not lost in statistics. These stories provided a human face to the atrocities, making the history more relatable and impactful. Sharing was healing for survivors, validating their pain and giving their suffering meaning. It allowed them to reclaim their narratives and find solace in being heard. Pong Rassi's programs transformed survivors into teachers and witnesses for the future. They became living testaments to resilience and the power of the human spirit. With each passing year, recording these stories became more urgent. As time marched on, the window to capture these first-hand accounts grew smaller. DCCAM's vast archive is a sacred trust, preserving voices for generations to come. It stands as a testament to the enduring importance of memory and history. This archive stands as a powerful antidote to denial and forgetting, ensuring that the stories of survivors are never lost to time. Justice was the third pillar of Pong Rassi's mission. He and DCCAM supported the Khmer Rouge Tribunal, bridging legal proceedings and public understanding. Educational programs explained the tribunal's work in accessible terms, building trust and support. DCCAM's archives provided crucial evidence for prosecutions. Survivor voices, once silenced, were finally heard in court. The tribunal, though limited, sent a message: impunity would not be tolerated. Combined with education, this process solidified the truth and fought denial. Pong Rassi's work has transformed Cambodia. Over 7 million youth have learned about the Khmer Rouge era, breaking intergenerational silence. Dialogue now bridges children and elders, fostering understanding and healing. Memorials like Choyang Ek and Tuol Sleng are vital centers for education and remembrance. The Day of Remembrance has become a day of genuine reflection. Survivors' mental health has improved as their experiences are validated and understood. Acknowledging trauma has reduced stigma and fostered national pride and resilience. Education has fortified Cambodia's democracy, teaching vigilance and human rights. Students learn that peace must be actively defended. This foundation is Cambodia's best safeguard against a return to darkness. Pong Rassi's legacy lives in the minds of millions of Cambodians. He transformed a painful past into a tool for reconciliation and resilience. His work ensures the genocide's memory endures, carried forward by new generations. Cambodia's approach is a model for post-conflict societies worldwide. Education, survivor testimony, and community outreach form a blueprint for healing. Pongrasi proved education is essential to justice and peace. Survivors, once voiceless, are now honored teachers and symbols of strength. This transformation restores dignity and agency to those who lost everything. Pongrasi's legacy is a testament to the power of conviction and the impact of one determined individual. The work of remembrance in Cambodia is ongoing. Each generation must actively teach and apply the lessons of the past. The responsibility now falls to the youth to carry the torch forward. But this is not Cambodia's burden alone. The genocide holds universal lessons. Genocide begins with hatred and dehumanization, not mass murder. Cambodia's story is a call to defend human rights everywhere. Seek out survivor stories, support education, and confront denial. Let Cambodia's journey inspire us to make never again a reality. Healing is possible, and education is our most powerful weapon against hatred. The journey is unfinished, and it is a path we must all walk together.